Hey y'all, howdy. Welcome to One for the Books. I'm Sandy Rodwell, and today we're going to talk about my most anticipated releases for the second half of 2025. I did do a most anticipated releases video for the first half of the year. That was kind of for the year in general, but that was way back in December. Lots of things have changed since then. I've already read a ton of those anticipated releases. I have learned about new anticipated releases, and some of those releases that were supposed to happen in the first half of the year have been pushed back to the second half of the year. So now that we are halfway through, I still have 8 releases that I am very, very excited about. There are tons of other books coming out that I think sound interesting, but these are the ones that I feel I have the most stake in. So without further ado. Coming up right around the corner, probably just a week or so after I post this video, on July 15th, we are supposed to be getting A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, which is the companion novel in the same world as A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. A Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches by Sengu Mandana was a fantastic 5-star read for me. It's the only cozy fantasy book that I have read that I think is as good as Legends and Lattes, which is saying a lot because Legends and Lattes was 5 stars. But even the sequels to Legends and Lattes, all of the other cozy fantasy books that I've read have been a little bit more middling. So I have really high hopes for A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, and I really hope that it gives me the same vibes that I got from the first one. Then later this month, also in July, on the 25th, we are supposed to be getting The Memory of the Ogiesi by Moses Ozayutome. This is the 3rd novella, the conclusion to the Forever Desert series, which started with The Lies of the Ajungo, and the sequel is called The Truth of the Aleke. I wouldn't say this is like a rush out and read series for me, but I am really intrigued to see how the whole thing concludes. The description makes it sound like this is like the really epic conclusion to all of it, so I just really want to know how it goes. The Forever Desert series feels like a mythology of a place that could really exist, so I love that about it. Then coming up in August, my most anticipated release by far of the last half of the year is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. I have read everything that R.F. Kuang has ever written, which has been 5 books so far, and I'm very excited to see what Catabasis is all about. It is supposed to be the story of 2 academic rivals who have to go to hell to rescue their advisor. And the kind of trippy Escher style cover I think is very intriguing. I'm hoping that that comes through in the actual novel itself, and can't wait to see what R.F. Kuang is doing there. Then in October, on October 7th, we are supposed to get book number 6, novella number 6, I guess, in the Singing Hills cycle, which is called A Mouthful of Dust. And if you've never read the Singing Hills cycle, it is about a cleric named Chi whose job is to go around and collect stories for the Singing Hills Abbey. And they usually get into some sort of hijinks along the way. They have a talking bird companion who records and remembers everything it ever hears. It's a very sweet, kind of cozy fantasy series, but also with some horror or adventure elements depending on which novella you're reading. The next one is on October 9th. We're getting All That We See or Seem by Ken Liu. So Ken Liu is the author of The Dandelion Dynasty, a series that I devoured last year. Ken Liu has a very unique writing style that, at least in the Dandelion Dynasty series, wove in kind of what I would call hard fantasy, in the same way that people think of hard sci-fi as like really delving deep into the science of it all. Ken Liu turned fantasy engineering into a science. And so this is a sci-fi book from him. It, I think, is the start of a new series based on the kind of tagline that is on Goodreads. It is supposedly about a hacker whose husband was kidnapped and some sort of dream weaver who can create digital dreams. I'm a little lost in the sauce on the description, to be honest, but I am trusting that a new Qian Lu book is going to knock my socks off and blow my mind in ways I can't even imagine yet. So that is something I am very much looking forward to in the second half of 2025. Then at the end of October, on October 28th, this is, besides R.F. Kuang's new book, this one is potentially the one I am most excited about. This is The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow. I have read 2 Alex E. Harrow books. Actually, I have them on my shelf up here. The 10,000 Doors of January and The Once and Future Witches. I am in love with the way Alex E. Harrow writes. Her prose is so beautiful and poetic and descriptive and lush. And The Everlasting just sounds right up my alley. It is about a woman knight from back, I assume, in the medieval days, and a male historian who is obsessed with her centuries and centuries later. And there's some sort of time travel, time loop, intertwining fates sort of thing that's happening where he, like, they meet, they fall in love, he betrays her, and the cycle starts over. It sounds incredible. It sounds devastating. I can't wait to fall in love or hate with these characters and get lost in the timeline with them. And then the last 2 are both sequels to series that I have not started or I'm not caught up on yet, so I'm slightly less anticipating these, but still excited that they are being released so that I can catch up on these series. The first one is The Strength of the Few by James Islington, and that is scheduled to come out on November 11th this year. This is the sequel to The Will of the Many, which I have heard absolutely nonstop fabulous things about. This is a fantasy series that has an academic, maybe magical academy setting, at least in the first book, and lots of intertwining plots and political machinations going on that is inspired by the Roman Empire. Just everyone's hype about it has me really hyped about this series, and I hope to read The Will of the Many in time to be a part of the hype train for when The Strength of the Few comes out in November. And then the last one is Shadows Upon Time by Christopher Ruocchio. This is the conclusion, I believe, to the Sun Eater series. This is book number 7, and I have only read the first 2 books so far, so I have a long way to go to catch up because these are quite lengthy books, but this is scheduled to come out so far on November 18th. I really loved the first book. The second book I loved in concept but wasn't sold on the execution, so I'm kind of waiting to see how I feel about book 3 before fully committing to the entire series, but I have heard from a lot of people that book 3 is the pinnacle of the series, so I have a feeling I will read it and love it and continue on all the way to the end, but that remains to be seen. Let me know down in the comments below what your most anticipated book of the next 6 months is through the end of 2025. Hopefully I can also add that to my TBR. And let me know which of the 8 that I mentioned you are most looking forward to as well. Thanks so much for hanging out and tuning in today. As always, please be kind, read more books, and hit the subscribe button down below for more bookish content to come. I'll see you again soon.